So what was the main aim of your project and who were the partners?
The main aim for us was to try and increase the use of research that we're involved in the services, in children's services in particular, for looked after children, children in care in the local authorities, and children who are fostered by independent fostering agencies. And so we had two partners. In this case, we wanted to focus on educational aspects. We have other parts of our work where we focus on children's social care aspects, but we wanted to focus here on educational aspects, and so we invited two virtual school, a virtual school head teacher and a virtual school deputy head teacher to join us as partners.
Right. What were the main successes in terms of knowledge exchange, and how did you judge success in this case?
Okay, so the ultimate aim has to be of any knowledge exchange programme to benefit those who the research is about, in this case children in care, and we are trying to influence their educational outcomes. And so any knowledge exchange we undertake, we hope eventually will help to contribute to that. Well, certainly judging success is always a challenge, and I don't think you ever really know who you have managed to reach through your work until you find out by chance. But in this case, the successes were several really. The main one was perhaps that that one of the visiting practitioners, Dr. Alan Rees, who had recently given up the role of being a virtual school head teacher to do independent consultancy, was able to work for and on behalf of the virtual school national group of head teachers to produce the virtual school handbook, which had at that stage been developed in a preliminary form, and to make it much more evidence informed. And so he used our research to try and inform the development of that and to complete it. And that was a major benefit. Another one was to, through the other visiting practitioner, Lucy, from the virtual school in Oxfordshire, to develop much tighter links with Oxfordshire through their fostering services, through their virtual school, and indeed through their data section, in order to ensure that our research informed their work, and that Lucy in turn spent time developing from our research findings knowledge claims. These were statements about the education of children in care that are evidence-based, and using those to trial them in schools.
Right, thank you. What difficulties did you encounter, and how did you deal with them?
To be perfectly honest, we didn't really encounter any difficulties, except the practical one, perhaps, that Alan Rees is based quite a long way away, so we had to be forward-thinking in terms of trying to fix dates in advance when we could all meet. And he couldn't be as involved in all of our team meetings, but he used his time to travel around to the regions and to inform the regional virtual school groups of head teachers about the work of the Rees Centre, and to establish a named link in each region. So although he wasn't as involved in the day-to-day teamwork, he was perhaps more involved on a national basis. We didn't really encounter any particular difficulties with the scheme.
Has your understanding of knowledge exchange changed between the proposal for this knowledge exchange project and now?
It hasn't changed. It has strengthened my understanding, in the sense that the research literature on research use has made clear that the interaction between people is absolutely critical for people to make good use of research so they understand research findings in their own context. And this work with the 2 visiting practitioners confirmed that very strongly for us, that the interpretation and mediation of research findings into practice is critical and requires interaction of real people, not just downloading materials.
Mm-hmm. So what advice would you give someone about to embark on a knowledge exchange project?
I would say that it's very important to, 2 things really. It's very important to go beyond the thinking about dissemination to what we really mean by the exchange bit in knowledge exchange, and to ensure that, in our case it was through visiting practitioners, but in the other projects in this area it takes many different forms, but to make sure that there is plenty of emphasis on the actual interaction between the researchers and the people they're trying to influence. And I would suggest some of that has to be face-to-face interaction, because that still seems to be the most effective. So I think that's one major piece of advice. I think the other one has to do with actually involving the people that one is trying to influence, the practitioners or the policymakers, in the work of the research team.
Great. Thank you. Thanks.